Okay, so to some of you, and it won't be all of you for definite, this represents a very interesting little project. I personally think it's pretty cool, or it could be very cool, but it obviously needs a significant amount of work. What it is a 1983 Honda CR480 engine in a 1982 Honda CR250 frame. Now, for the UK market, this could relatively easily be made a twin shock eligible race bike. So when I say relatively easily, the back end would need to be converted to twin shock. Now you can buy swing arms that are already set up to do that, and this frame would be very easy to modify. It's not a separate subframe on this, it's a single piece as you would find in a regular twin shock bike. It's got the mount point for the top of the shock here, but you wouldn't need to retain that. Or you could use the existing swing arm, unbolt all the linkage and weld on some nice shock mounts somewhere along that swing arm, and that would be a pretty simple way of getting this to be twin shock eligible. Now that's only part of the story, obviously, because the rest of the bike does need restoration. It's missing the seat, plastics are neither here nor there, and the rest of it, a lot of it, just needs to be gone through, really. The interesting bit is the motor does fit in the frame. When I say it fits, the next section of this video, which I've already recorded, I was looking at the engine itself. I put the crankcases, the bottom end of the engine into the frame, and the engine mount bolt holes, engine mounts in the frame, line up with the engine mounts on the engine. The only issue is there's a bracket that comes off the swing arm. I'll show you in a little bit more detail. There's a bracket that comes off the swing arm, and the top of one of those brackets is damaged. And also you'll need to make some engine mounts for the front here. Should be easy to do though. A simple little triangular aluminium piece would do it without any problem at all. And then the other complication which I've just discovered is the exhaust. So this would have been a water-cooled bike. The CR250 would have been water-cooled, obviously it's an air-cooled engine. The pipe here, I think that this is a regular CR480 pipe, and it just doesn't fit right. So, and then I've noticed that it's all cracked here as well, so it wouldn't be any good anyway. But ultimately, you'd either have to modify one, get one and modify one. It's not a huge amount out, it just does, it hits the head, you see. So as it comes out, it's touching the head, and therefore it won't go back far enough to mount the frame. But very, very, very cool project, and probably something that is not going to go for silly money. And you get an engine which turns over and has all of its gears, does need a rebuild, just because you don't have any idea what the state of that engine is inside. And then the frame needs modifying to make it twin shock, or you could leave it as a linkage bike. Then it's not going to be eligible for twin shock, but it will be eligible for Evo, or even pre-85 as a class. And you know, with that great big motor, it should be pretty competitive. sometimes these things are just cool when they're made, aren't they? And it's a different one-off thing, and it's a nice thing. Anyway, let's have a look at it. A bit of a closer look at the engine mounts and the other bits and pieces that come with the bike, and then we'll get it up for eBay, and it'll be up for an online auction tonight. Okay, a bit of a funny one this. So this is a Honda CR480 motor. And I'm doing this the wrong way around because it comes with a 1982 Cr250 rolling chassis. The engine was not in the chassis when we bought it. I'm told that it fits, and I'm going to attempt to put it in. But with the engine being out of the chassis and the head and the barrel weren't bolted on, I just wanted to see, A, does it turn over? And you can see there that it does turn over. The bore is a little bit rusty, but I mean that could hone back up to being perfectly fine. It's got the inlet manifold and the reed block in there, and there doesn't seem to be any real damage at all. All the fins are intact. There's a slight bit of distortion on that fin there. It's slightly bent, you can see. The head, again, that wasn't bolted down either, but the head looks good. A little bit of something there. I don't know if someone's just scratched that or whatever, but it doesn't look as though it's, you know, from any running damage or anything like that. And the other thing that I wanted to check with this engine was A, how many gears does it have? Because the 480 came in 82 as a 4-speed and in 83 as a 5-speed, so I wanted to do that. Work out whether it's a 4 or a 5-speed, and has it got all its gears there? So anyway, so we're in neutral at the minute. You'll see I've got some mole grips on the gear selector. So in neutral, like I say, so the sprocket's spinning freely and it's not turning the crank. So if we push this up, then that should now be in first, and you'll see, well, hopefully you will see there, when I spin the sprocket, just get my stator cables out there, when I spin the sprocket, it turns the crank. So there we go. So as I push that back down, that should now be in neutral, yeah, and then up into second. Again, the sprocket, as I turn the sprocket, it spins the crank, and then third, so third gear, fourth gear, and fifth gear. So there should be no more gears, no more gears there. So we're in fifth, and back down to fourth, that just selected there. Third, second, and first. So it's all nice and free moving. Everything seems to be working as it should. It's going to need a full strip down, obviously. The engine itself, the overall condition of the engine looks to be good. There's no damage to the underside of it. All the mountings look to be in good shape. So it's good. And the 83, the 5-speed one, is the better engine to have. It was a better motor altogether, partially because it had the 5 speeds. Right, so we know what the situation is with the motor. I'll stick the I'll try and get the crankcases into the engine. I might as well leave the barrel and the head off, and then we'll see what the situation is with the rest of the bike. So the bottom engine mount here, I've put a bolt in. It's not the right bolt. I'm not even going to put a nut on the end of it to secure it. That lines up. The top of the engine mount bracket lines up. It's the other side of this, this side over here, where the damage is. I'll show you that in a second. The bottom engine mount lines up, and then this is where you'd need to make your triangular piece here, and ideally here at the top as well, the head steady. But the engine, I mean, the engine fits flipping fantastically. It does touch the frame here, right at the front, but I believe that that is because it's resting in the frame rather than being mounted in. I think with that couple of mils lifted up, I don't think it would touch anymore. But if it did touch, you know, you just have to do a little bit of work, shave a couple of those fins or whatever you wanted to do. Amazing that it lines up as good as that. So it's got the airbox, which someone has, you know, cut a couple of bits out of, but that's perfectly serviceable and usable. It's got the inlet manifold, someone's put on the wrong way around. There's no carb with the bike. It's got the frame, looks to be in good nick. It doesn't look as though it's been altered actually to fit that engine in. It just looks as though the engine does fit. It's got the tank, so the tank would mount here. There's obviously, as standard, there would be radiators in front of that, which are no longer required in this configuration. Bars are a bit nasty. Triple clamps look good, and the front forks, there's a little bit of pitting here and on this side, but the rest of the fork tubes look pretty good to me. So the chrome looks good. At the bottom part, if you're going to use it as a race bike, just clean that top bit up, and then away you go. There'll be decent fork on this bike. I think they're 43mm. Front wheel looks very straight. There's a spoke missing there, so you'd need to sort that out. Wheel looks straight this side as well. It's not absolutely mint, but it looks straight. Obviously plastics. Here is that exhaust. You can see in a bit more detail there. It's been welded up before, and it just doesn't quite fit. So it catches. It goes on the exhaust manifold, but it catches on the head. So a different pipe. Maybe I mean, thinking about it, the regular Cr480 pipe should fit and should come over this section here in the right way. It's just then mounting it to the rest of it. But probably getting hold of a 1983 Cr480 front pipe. Maybe that one isn't. Maybe that's a 250 pipe that's just not the right config. Obviously, it could have gone further down. There would have been no fins for the water-cooled motor. So, and then there's no shock in the bike. So we've got this bit of wood here, which I've used. I'll have to go in from the bottom there. The airbox wasn't in, so I flipping took the bit of wood out, put the airbox in, and then now it won't go back in. I'll sort that out so you'll be able to roll the bike about, but the shock is missing, so that will be either, like I say, replace that shock or twin shock it. Rear wheel, not in perfect condition, but it's straight. There's no dents in it. I think I saw a couple of spokes missing. I think it was a spoke. I know that's the tube. I thought I saw a spoke missing. Maybe that was the front wheel. Not seeing any now anyway. Oh, there we go. Spoke missing there. I think. Maybe. No, maybe not. Maybe that's just the rim lock. The swing arm looks decent. The brake plate looks decent. You've got the brake arm. Probably needs bending back into shape. But it'll be a decent little project for definite. Make a very competitive bike. Please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just search Phoenix Motos.